they rarely tell, a story about a divine gift given by God to the first man, Adam. This gift was not just knowledge, it was power. It was the book of Raziel, a text filled with the secrets of heaven, earth, and everything in between. Imagine Adam in the Garden of Eden, not just walking in the presence of God, but holding in his hands the very blueprint of creation itself. God, in his infinite wisdom, trusted Adam with this sacred book, granting him access to the mysteries of the universe. This was no ordinary text. Its pages contained the very laws of nature, the names of angels, and the spiritual forces that bind all things together. God didn't simply create Adam to live and exist. He created him to govern the world with wisdom and grace, to take part in the grand design of life, and to reflect the divine order within creation. But this wasn't just an intellectual gift, it was also a test. With the Book of Raziel, Adam had been given extraordinary insight into the universe, its cycles, its movements, and its divine nature. It taught him how to live in harmony with creation, how to see the world not just with physical eyes, but with the eyes of the Spirit. This was no ordinary responsibility. This was a sacred task given by the Creator himself. And with great knowledge comes great responsibility. For Adam had to choose. Would he walk in the wisdom of this divine gift, or would he be tempted to wield it for his own gain? Picture the scene. The archangel Raziel, sent by God, descending to the Garden of Eden, carrying this divine text. Raziel was not just any angel, he was the keeper of divine secrets, a being entrusted with knowledge that no mortal had ever seen before. This moment was more than just the transfer of a book. It was the beginning of something extraordinary. Raziel handed the book to Adam not as an act of mere instruction, but as an act of profound trust. In this exchange, God was placing his faith in humanity. The Book of Raziel was not just a book of facts or figures, it was a living document of divine wisdom. Adam wasn't simply meant to exist in the world, he was meant to rule over it, to govern with the wisdom found within the pages of this sacred text. God's plan was unfolding before Adam, and he was at the very center of it. But with this knowledge came a burden. The Book of Raziel was a guide to both the physical and spiritual worlds, revealing the intricate balance between them. It showed Adam how to walk in the ways of God, to govern the earth with justice, compassion, and understanding. But there was also a choice woven into the fabric of this knowledge, a choice that would define not just Adam's future, but the future of all humanity. Would Adam use this divine gift for good, or would he be tempted to turn it towards self-serving ends? This was the weight of the responsibility that had been placed in Adam's hands, and the story that would unfold was one of both tragedy and hope. Before we dive deeper into the powerful lessons of this ancient text, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and share this video. Unlock more hidden truths with us and join our channel membership for exclusive video-based content that reveals the secrets of divine wisdom. Together, let's journey further into the mysteries of the universe. As Adam began to explore the pages of the Book of Raziel, something profound happened. He wasn't just learning about creation, he was connecting with the Creator on a deeper, spiritual level. The book didn't merely describe the mechanics of the universe, it unveiled the very heart of God. Each revelation brought Adam closer to the understanding that this knowledge wasn't just about how the world worked, but about why it worked that way. Adam saw the delicate balance of creation, the cycles of time, the movements of the stars, and the hidden spiritual forces that govern all life. These weren't just facts, they were insights into the divine will, the reasons behind God's decisions in shaping the universe. Yet this was more than a gift. It was a test. The knowledge contained in the book of Raziel was not something to be wielded lightly. Would Adam use this divine wisdom to walk in harmony with God's plan, honoring the order of creation? Or would the temptation to wield this power for himself be too great? The book was not just a tool for understanding creation. It was a mirror reflecting Adam's own heart. As he turned the pages, Adam was confronted with the weight of his responsibility. He had been given insight into the divine plan, but with that insight came the challenge of remaining humble before God. The test was not just intellectual, it was moral. Could Adam keep his heart aligned with God? Or would the knowledge corrupt him, leading to the fall that would change everything? But the story does not end with Adam quietly absorbing this wisdom. There were others who took notice, beings far older and wiser than humanity. The angels, those celestial beings who had served God from the beginning of time, watched closely. They saw what had been entrusted to Adam, and they were deeply concerned. This wasn't just any knowledge, it was the kind of knowledge that could alter the course of history. The angels understood the gravity of what had been given to Adam. They knew the power that the book of Raziel held, and they feared that Adam, in his innocence, might not yet be ready for it. The angels, who had seen the fall of their own brethren when pride overtook them, worried that Adam would face the same temptation. And so, they approached God, pleading with him to reconsider. They asked him to take the book back, to remove this burden from Adam's hands before it led to ruin. But God, in his infinite wisdom, chose not to. He allowed Adam to keep the book of Raziel, giving him the freedom to choose. God trusted Adam, not because he was unaware of the risks, but because he had given humanity something precious: free will. It was now up to Adam to decide whether he would walk in the wisdom of the book, using it to live in harmony with creation, or whether he would allow temptation to lead him astray. And this is where the story takes a dramatic turn. For the choice Adam makes will shape not just his own destiny, but the destiny of all humanity. After the fall, when Adam and Eve were cast out of the Garden of Eden, the significance of the book of Raziel became even greater. Now, in a world marked by hardship and toil, the book was more than just a guide. It was a lifeline. Imagine Adam, no longer walking in the lush beauty of Eden, but struggling to survive in a harsh, fallen world. Yet even in this exile, God's mercy was evident. The book remained with Adam, a divine link to the Creator, a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. Through the book of Raziel, Adam learned how to navigate this new, broken reality. The book revealed the hidden patterns in nature, teaching him how to cultivate the earth, how to care for his family, and how to persevere in a world that had become hostile and unforgiving. But more than just survival, the book provided spiritual guidance. It reminded Adam that even though he had fallen, God had not abandoned him. The promises of redemption were still woven into the pages of the book, offering Adam and his descendants a glimmer of hope. The book of Raziel was not just a guide for physical survival, it was a spiritual anchor, a constant reminder of God's presence and his plan for redemption. Every time Adam looked upon its pages, he was reminded that the story wasn't over, that God was still with him, and that one day restoration would come. In a world that had lost its way, the book of Raziel served as a compass, guiding Adam and his descendants toward the hope of a new beginning. And so, the book of Raziel was passed down through the generations to men chosen by God to carry this divine wisdom forward. One of those men was Enoch. You've likely heard of Enoch, the man who walked so closely with God that he was taken up into heaven without experiencing death. But what many don't realize is that Enoch's extraordinary journey began with the book of Raziel. The knowledge it contained was not just a collection of facts, it was an invitation into deeper communion with the Creator. Through the book, Enoch gained profound insights into the workings of the heavenly realms. He understood the order of angels, the layers of the spiritual world, and the ways in which the physical and spiritual are intertwined. Enoch's life became a living testament to the power of this divine wisdom. He didn't just study the book, he lived its truths. Every decision he made, every step he took, was aligned with the knowledge he received from the book of Raziel. His walk with God was so pure, so aligned with divine will, that God chose to bring him into heaven without experiencing death, a unique honor in all of biblical history. The book of Raziel wasn't just a guide for Enoch's spiritual life, it was a key to unlocking the mysteries of the universe. Enoch's ascension to heaven was not just a reward for his righteousness, but a reflection of the transformative power of walking in alignment with God's wisdom. Enoch's story reminds us that the book of Raziel is more than just ancient knowledge. It is an invitation to enter into a closer relationship with God. Then came Noah, the man chosen by God to preserve life when the world was consumed by wickedness. The story of Noah's Ark is well known, but what many do not know is the role the book of Raziel played in this moment of history. When God decided to cleanse the earth with the great flood, he entrusted Noah with a monumental task: to build an ark that would carry the future of humanity. But this wasn't just a matter of carpentry and craftsmanship. The instructions for constructing the ark came from divine wisdom, passed down through the book of Raziel. This sacred book provided Noah with the exact dimensions, materials, and design necessary to build a vessel that could withstand the fury of God's judgment. The ark wasn't just a boat, it was a divine creation, built with the wisdom that only comes from God. The book also revealed to Noah the spiritual significance of this task. This wasn't just about preserving animals and people, it was about preserving God's creation in its entirety. Every animal, every seed, every drop of water that entered the ark was a symbol of God's covenant with the earth. The book of Raziel guided Noah through every step, ensuring that the ark would be more than a physical structure. It would be a spiritual symbol of God's promise for redemption. Noah wasn't just saving his family and the creatures of the earth, he was preserving the future of humanity. Without the wisdom of the book of Raziel, the ark might never have been completed, and the story of humanity might have ended in those floodwaters. After the floodwaters receded, humanity began anew, and the book of Raziel continued its journey through time. It eventually found its way into the hands of King Solomon, a man whose wisdom became legendary. But Solomon's wisdom wasn't just the result of natural intelligence, it was shaped by divine knowledge. When God appeared to Solomon in a dream and offered him anything he desired, Solomon famously asked for wisdom to govern his people. God was pleased with his request, and he granted Solomon not only earthly wisdom, but also divine insight into the mysteries of creation. Much of this wisdom was derived from the book of Raziel. Through its teachings, Solomon gained mastery over the spiritual realms, learning the secrets of the heavens, the names of angels, and the laws that govern both the physical and spiritual worlds. Solomon wasn't just a king, he was a spiritual leader who understood the divine order of the universe. His greatest achievement, the construction of the temple in Jerusalem, was not just a political or architectural feat, it was a manifestation of the divine wisdom found within the book of Raziel. Every stone, every measurement, every design element was aligned with the spiritual truths revealed in the book. The temple wasn't just a place of worship, it was a physical reflection of the heavenly order. Solomon's reign, marked by peace and prosperity, was a testament to the power of living in alignment with God's wisdom. The Book of Raziel wasn't just a tool for Solomon to rule his kingdom. It was a guide for understanding the very nature of creation. But even Solomon, with all his wisdom, understood the great responsibility that came with the knowledge in the Book of Raziel. The book didn't just provide insights into the workings of the universe. It taught that true wisdom comes from living in submission to God's will. Solomon knew that the divine knowledge contained within the book was not to be used for personal gain. The book's teachings were clear. Those who sought to misuse its power for selfish reasons would find only destruction. This truth had been passed down through the generations, from Adam to Solomon, as a reminder that knowledge without humility is dangerous. Solomon recognized that the Book of Raziel was not just a collection of secrets to be exploited, it was a guide for righteous living. It revealed the balance between power and responsibility, teaching that those who seek to wield divine knowledge must first align their hearts with God's will. And yet, as wise as Solomon was, the temptations of power still lurked. His later years saw him stray from the very teachings that had guided him for so long. His heart turned away from God, and the consequences of that shift were felt throughout his kingdom. The Book of Raziel had given Solomon everything he needed to rule wisely, but it also served as a constant reminder that even the wisest among us are vulnerable to the pull of pride and temptation. In the end, Solomon's story serves as both a testament to the power of divine wisdom and a cautionary tale about the dangers of losing sight of God's will. So, what exactly does the Book of Raziel contain? The legends speak of divine secrets that would make even the wisest scholar tremble. Within its pages are said to be the sacred names of God, the order of the angelic realms, and the laws that govern both the spiritual and physical worlds. The book is believed to contain the knowledge of creation itself, how the universe came into being, how the stars and planets move, and how time itself flows. But the Book of Raziel is more than just a record of cosmic mechanics. At its core, the book reveals something far more profound, that all wisdom, all knowledge flows from God. The book teaches that the universe is not just a series of random events. It is a carefully designed masterpiece, woven together by the hand of the Creator. Every star in the sky, every grain of sand on the earth, and every breath we take is part of a divine plan. The Book of Raziel shows us that true wisdom is not just about understanding how the world works. It's about understanding why it works. It reveals that the purpose of creation is to reflect God's glory, and that our role as human beings is to live in harmony with that divine order. The book doesn't just teach us about the universe, it teaches us about our place within it. It reminds us that, no matter how much knowledge we acquire, true wisdom begins with a heart that seeks to honor and serve the Creator. After the fall, when Adam and Eve were cast out of the Garden of Eden, the significance of the Book of Raziel became even greater. Now, in a world marked by hardship and toil, the book was more than just a guide. It was a lifeline. Imagine Adam, no longer walking in the lush beauty of Eden, but struggling to survive in a harsh, fallen world. Yet even in this exile, God's mercy was evident. The book remained with Adam, a divine link to the Creator, a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. Through the Book of Raziel, Adam learned how to navigate this new, broken reality. The book revealed the hidden patterns in nature, teaching him how to cultivate the earth, how to care for his family, and how to persevere in a world that had become hostile and unforgiving. But more than just survival, the book provided spiritual guidance. It reminded Adam that even though he had fallen, God had not abandoned him. The promises of redemption were still woven into the pages of the book, offering Adam and his descendants a glimmer of hope. The book of Raziel was not just a guide for physical survival. It was a spiritual anchor, a constant reminder of God's presence and his plan for redemption. Every time Adam looked upon its pages, he was reminded that the story wasn't over, that God was still with him, and that one day restoration would come. In a world that had lost its way, the book of Raziel served as a compass, guiding Adam and his descendants toward the hope of a new beginning. If you're seeking deeper understanding and wisdom in your life, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button and join our membership for exclusive video content that unlocks even more of the hidden truths within the Bible and ancient wisdom. Let's continue this journey together, one revelation at a time. But as with all great gifts, there is a weighty responsibility that comes with the knowledge in the book of Raziel. The book itself warns that those who seek to misuse this wisdom for selfish reasons will face dire consequences. The spiritual laws that govern the universe are fixed, unchanging, and cannot be bent to serve human desires. Throughout history, there have been those who sought to control the knowledge within the book, to use it as a tool for power and manipulation. But without fail, those who tried to wield this divine knowledge for their own purposes found only destruction. The book of Raziel teaches that true wisdom is not just about acquiring knowledge. It's about aligning oneself with God's will. It is about understanding that the universe was created for a purpose, and that our role is to live in harmony with that purpose, not to try and subvert it for personal gain. Those who forget this truth and attempt to use the book's power for selfish reasons inevitably face the consequences of their pride. The stories of those who have fallen into this trap serve as a reminder to us all. Divine wisdom is a gift, but it is not to be taken lightly. It requires humility, obedience, and a heart that seeks to serve God rather than oneself. The book of Raziel calls us to remember that true power comes not from controlling the forces of creation, but from submitting to the one who created it all. Despite the warnings, the allure of the book of Raziel has captivated the hearts and minds of countless seekers throughout history. Some have spent their entire lives searching for this mysterious text, believing that within its pages lies the key to unlocking the deepest mysteries of the universe. And while it is true that the book contains profound and transformative knowledge, the real treasure it holds is something much deeper. What many fail to realize is that the wisdom contained in the book of Raziel is not locked away, hidden from those who seek it. It is available to anyone with a heart open to God. The book itself may be shrouded in legend, but the truth it contains is eternal and accessible. The Bible is the living word of God, and it is through this sacred text that we can gain the wisdom we seek. The book of Raziel serves as a reminder that God has always desired to share his knowledge with his people. He is not a distant, unknowable deity, but a loving Father who longs to walk with us, to guide us, and to reveal his heart to us. The true secret of the book of Raziel is that God's wisdom is not something to be hoarded by a few. It is a gift meant to be shared with all who seek him. The Bible is filled with the same divine truths, the same insights into the nature of creation, and the same call to live in alignment with God's will. The wisdom of the book of Raziel is alive, and it is waiting for those who are ready to receive it. As we explore the deeper teachings of the book of Raziel, one concept becomes undeniably clear: the interconnectedness of all creation. The book reveals that nothing in this world exists in isolation. Every star in the sky, every tree in the forest, every creature that walks the earth is part of a grand design, intricately woven together by the Creator. The book of Raziel teaches that when we truly understand this interconnectedness, we begin to see the world not as random chaos, but as a masterpiece of divine intention. The wisdom in this book reveals that the universe is a reflection of God's order and purpose. Everything, from the vastness of space to the smallest grain of sand, is part of a carefully crafted plan. This knowledge changes how we see the world. It moves us from a mindset of dominance and control to one of stewardship and responsibility. We are not separate from creation. We are part of it. The book of Raziel teaches that humanity has a unique role within this divine order. We are called to live in harmony with the world, to care for it, and to protect it, not out of obligation, but out of love and reverence for the Creator who made it. The book challenges us to see our place in the world not as rulers, but as caretakers of God's creation. And as we live in alignment with this divine order, we begin to reflect the beauty, wisdom, and love of the one who designed it all. The wisdom found in the book of Raziel extends beyond the physical world. It speaks to the divine order within ourselves. The same laws that govern the stars and the seasons also govern our hearts, our minds, and our souls. The book of Raziel teaches that we are not just physical beings. We are spiritual beings created in the image of God. Just as the universe is held together by divine laws, our lives are meant to be lived in harmony with God's design. When we align ourselves with His will, we experience peace, purpose, and fulfillment. But when we stray from that order, when we try to live outside of God's plan, we find only chaos and confusion. The book of Raziel reveals that our greatest strength comes not from our ability to control our circumstances, but from our willingness to submit to God's will. It is in surrendering to His plan that we find true freedom. This is the paradox of divine wisdom. The more we let go of our desire for control, the more we find ourselves walking in the fullness of God's purpose for our lives. The book challenges us to examine our hearts, to recognize where we have sought to live according to our own understanding, and to return to the path that leads to life. It is a reminder that true wisdom begins with humility and the recognition that God's ways are higher than our ways. The book of Raziel teaches us that we are part of a greater story, one that is being written by the hand of God. As you listen to the story of the book of Raziel, it's important to remember that this is not just an ancient tale. It's a reflection of a much larger truth. The knowledge that was entrusted to Adam, Enoch, Noah, and Solomon wasn't meant to be hidden away forever. It was meant to be passed down through the generations as a testament to God's desire to share His wisdom with His people. This knowledge is not locked away in a forgotten text or hidden from those who seek it. The Bible itself is the continuation of this divine revelation. It is filled with God's wisdom, His guidance, and His plan for humanity. The book of Raziel may be shrouded in mystery, but the truth it contains is alive and active today. God's wisdom is available to anyone who seeks it with a humble heart. The Bible teaches us how to live in harmony with God's creation, how to align our lives with His will, and how to fulfill the purpose He has for us. Just as Adam was given the responsibility of stewarding the world, we too are called to care for creation and to live lives that reflect the wisdom and love of God. The message of the book of Raziel is clear. God's wisdom is not hidden from us. It is a gift that He offers freely to all who seek Him. Through the Bible, through prayer, and through a relationship with Jesus Christ, we have access to the same divine truths that shaped the course of history. God's wisdom is for all who desire to walk in His ways. In the teachings of the book of Raziel, we find a powerful call to live in obedience to God's will. But this call is not one of blind submission. It is an invitation to walk in the freedom that comes from knowing the Creator of the universe. The book reveals that when we live according to God's design, we experience life as it was meant to be lived, in harmony with His creation, in peace with ourselves, and in communion with Him. This is the wisdom that has been passed down from Adam to Enoch, to Noah, to Solomon, and beyond. It is a truth that transcends time and culture. God's wisdom is the key to living a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment. The book of Raziel teaches that true power is not found in controlling others or in bending the forces of the universe to our will. True power is found in aligning ourselves with God's divine plan. When we do this, we find that we are not limited by the challenges of this world. Instead, we are lifted into a higher realm of understanding, where God's light shines through every aspect of our lives. This is the wisdom that the book of Raziel offers, a way of living that transcends the physical, a life that is rooted in the eternal truths of God's love and His purpose for creation. It's not just about acquiring knowledge, it's about becoming more like Christ, walking in His light, and reflecting His truth to the world around us. The book reminds us that we are part of something much greater than ourselves. As we reflect on the journey of the book of Raziel, one thing becomes abundantly clear. The knowledge contained within this book is not just for the intellectual or the scholar. It is for anyone who seeks to know God more deeply. The Bible tells us that if we seek God with all our hearts, we will find Him. This is the promise that the book of Raziel points to. God's wisdom is available to anyone who desires to walk in His ways. The knowledge that was given to Adam, Enoch, Noah, and Solomon is not out of reach for us today. Through Jesus Christ, we have access to the same divine wisdom that shaped the course of history. The Bible is filled with God's truths, guiding us on how to live in alignment with His plan and how to reflect His glory in our lives. We don't need to search for hidden texts or secret knowledge to understand the mysteries of the universe. God's wisdom is available to all of us through His Word, His creation, and His Spirit. The book of Raziel reminds us that God's wisdom is eternal, and it is meant to guide us, to lead us, and to transform us into the people He created us to be. As we walk in this wisdom, we find that our lives are no longer limited by the challenges and difficulties of this world. Instead, we are lifted into a higher realm of understanding, where God's truth reigns supreme and His love surrounds us. This is the gift that God has given us, the gift of His wisdom, His love, and His eternal truth. So, as we come to the end of our exploration of the book of Raziel, we are faced with a question. What will we do with the knowledge we've gained? Will we seek to use it for our own gain, or will we allow it to draw us closer to the heart of God? The choice is ours. The book of Raziel offers us a glimpse into the divine wisdom that has shaped the universe, but it also challenges us to live lives that reflect that wisdom. It calls us to be stewards of God's creation, to walk in His light, and to bring His truth into a world that is desperately in need of it. This is the heart of the book's message. Knowledge is not enough. It must be applied in a way that honors God and serves His purposes. The knowledge contained in the book is not just for us to hoard, it is for us to share, to live out, and to embody in everything we do. God has given us this gift, not so that we can become powerful, but so that we can become more like Him. This is the true purpose of the book of Raziel, to draw us closer to God, to help us understand His heart, and to guide us as we live out His will on earth. The book reminds us that the greatest wisdom is found in serving God and serving others, and that the knowledge we gain should always be used for the glory of God and the good of His creation. The choice is in your hands. As we close this chapter, remember this: God's wisdom is not a secret. It is not hidden away in ancient texts or locked behind doors that only a select few can access. It is available to all of us through His Word, through His creation, and through the life of Jesus Christ. The book of Raziel may be a fascinating part of history, but the true source of wisdom is God Himself. He desires to share His wisdom with us, to guide us, and to lead us into a life that is filled with His light. The Bible is the living, breathing continuation of this divine wisdom, offering us the same insights and truths that guided Adam, Enoch, Noah, and Solomon. Through the Bible, we are invited to walk in the same wisdom, to live in alignment with God's will, and to reflect His love and truth in the world. Before you go, make sure to subscribe and join our channel membership for exclusive videos that explore more of these ancient texts and reveal deeper truths from the Bible. Hit that like button and share this video